Today I got there, did a jump with my fiance. That was really fun though. She killed it. That was really
With
really nice.
Kiki.
And yes, with Kiki. And after that, I joined a group with a few other friends, all like coaches that are gonna be here for next week, for the next couple of weeks for our camps, our spring camps. And then we were doing some just playing around, nothing special, just changing the leader and letting different, like, one of us took a leading of each one of each jump and
Yeah.
just played around basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
some fun jumps. Yeah,
That's cool.
letting go a little bit. It's always like super nice to get to follow, not just being leading all the time. Yeah.
When you skydive, Luis, what are the like if you were going to describe to somebody who doesn't skydive and you wanted to describe to them like kind of the emotion or the feeling, the mindset that you feel
Okay.
when you skydive, what
Yeah, that's a
how would
that's
you get
a
them to kind of be inside your mind and your heart when you're
okay.
skydiving?
Yeah, I think it's good that you clarify from what perspective, because a lot of times on the first time, like, the feeling is could be almost completely opposite to what I feel, or what you get to feel when you're actually skydiving constantly, no. For me, like I had mentioned, it's a little bit of a feeling of calmness, and a bit of a meditative state, in a way, and well, when I'm coaching, definitely, like, I'm super alert. I'm flying for my students. I'm trying to really make them work what we're trying to practice. By feelings, more like I'm really dedicated to a part of, like, really experimenting with the feelings, rather than really fixing your body to a particular position that now you have to copy like a robot. More about, like, really learning to feel the wind and everything. So it's a very calm state, I would say, for me. We're, like, just trying to continue breathing normally. Like, it's something like where, like, those parts, generally, especially when I'm coaching, the flying I'm doing is completely second nature. So I'm not really thinking about how to do the next move and doing stuff like that. Everything is natural. That way, it allows me to adjust a little bit for other flyers and do things where you're not just, like, fixed in one position and you went. So yeah, like, I feel like, yeah, flying being second nature allows you to really focus on all the other feelings, no. And so yeah, I think overall there's no really a feel of rush. It's more of a feel of calmness. Yeah.
Yeah, so many people they say, "Oh, you skydive, you must be an adrenaline junkie."
Yeah.
Is there any adrenaline for you now?
Well, I'm sure there's gotta be. I don't know, like, if you, in a way, like, start getting used to it, or if there's less particularly. But there's definitely some kind of emotion there that, like, also it's part of what keeps us doing it or wanting more. But it's not like compared to the beginning. At the beginning of my skydiving, I definitely have a rush. You definitely, like, are accelerated, anxious. And it's a state of mind that I definitely, like, something that it's also in a way pleasant. Because you can always, like, search for it again and stuff. But I would say for now, like, my skydiving, it's like I don't have that feeling. We, like, it's more of a place where you're kind of used to be, like where it feels almost natural, as crazy as that can be said, no?
So those two feelings, the feeling at the beginning that was a little bit more of a rush
Mm-hmm.
or adrenaline or however you
Mm-hmm.
want to call it, and the feeling now, which one's better?
Man, I think it's very different. Like, I think, like, that feeling of rush and adrenaline, it's very cool, and, like, we can seek for it even sometimes doing other things, that we're not so used to it. But overall, I would say the feeling now, it's a feeling where there's a lot more awareness, where where I'm more in contact with the senses and the feelings and able to think properly, to react with procedures and things like that. Like so it's definitely I would appreciate more skydiving from the point of view that I have right now, or that a lot of people have when they jump a lot. Uh, as to that, if it was always like, going crazy down the free fall, opening the parachute, and having like the heart going crazy the whole time. Definitely, I like it more like this.
I think a lot of skydivers feel like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling.
yeah, for sure.
Um, so I remember when we were eating dinner that one night, and you were telling me just a little bit about growing up in Venezuela.
Mhm.
What can you tell me a little bit about the town where you grew up? Like, what was it like? Was it a small, little bitty, tiny town?
No, it's a huge city actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's the capital city of Venezuela, Caracas. So yeah, it's a really big city, really hectic. It has these areas, that are pretty in contact with nature and stuff in the surroundings, but it's a full-on crazy city, hectic.
And what was can you think of like a fond, a good memory that you have of growing up in Caracas? Something I don't know, something when you think back to being a child or
Man, like I don't know, like maybe going on your bicycle around on parks and stuff like that. Definitely like I think some of my most like memories like that are more significant. I think it would come more from when I would do trips, with the family, going to the nature, going to, maybe to explore like the coast or certain areas, the jungle side, like depending on what areas you would go, deserts or mountains or whatever you wanted to go. I spent a lot of time growing up in the sea. Basically, I mean water. So yeah, I really enjoy that.
yeah. And so you grew up in Caracas, but where did you start skydiving?
I started skydiving in a town that's called San Juan de los Morros. San Juan de los Morros, and it's a smaller town, in the outsides of Caracas, maybe like I don't know, like it'd be like maybe 2 hours and a half driving, maybe a little more, give or take. It's a small drop zone with a 182, or no, with a 182 they had, and I was confusing with the 206, but yeah, it was a 182, and it was basically just IAD jumping. Just you go. There's like I never knew even what a tandem was or nothing. That was the option, and we went there, basically. So yeah, they train you for a few hours in the ground, and then you go much like a static line progression. Just the instructor keeps the pilot shot in the hand rather than hooking you to the plane.
And what made you want to skydive the very first time? Why did you go do it?
Man, I was always like really into stuff that would create a little bit of that rush feeling that we were talking about. Like, even if it was like jumping off cliffs, or diving in the water, or like always like looking for a bit of that feeling, skateboarding, surfing, like. Uh, th- then like I think like that's what basically attracted me to it, and I always had it kind of in the back of my mind. And one day in high school, one of my best friends came out and told me, "Hey, I have some friends that just skydive." And I was like, "Oh, let's go, man!" Like we planned it, we set up the appointment, and went and got it done.
And do you remember do you remember that jump very well?
Yeah, for sure, man. Even like, yeah, remember within the not remembering, from that rush, that you get from adrenaline. I had been a couple of times on a commercial plane, but never in a small plane. Uh, we went, um, well, basically, we went through the whole course, about 8 hours of theory. They tell you everything, this and that, okay, and then we were ready. They geared us up. We get on the plane. Me, from being really tall, I was like right on the first slot to exit, so I was the first one to go, and my body was in there with the instructor. And there was like I think like one more student on the plane. We were four, and We get to 3,000 feet. The instructor opens the door of the little plane. Bam, opens up. I'm sitting next to the door, just freaking out. And you have to climb out. You're not jumping from the door. You have to like climb over the little step that is over the wheel, holding through the strut all the way out till you're hanging on the strut. You look at your instructor. He gives you an okay, and you let go, trying to do supposedly an arch. He lets go of the pilot chute and opens. And I never arch. I probably went just boom, hips back, ass back, parachute open. As soon as that thing was open, I was like, whoa, I'm alive, I made it. And then had to figure out how to fly my canopy back to the landing area. I had no, like, radios wasn't working and none of that. So yeah, just made it back. Had a landing on the wrong way. Yeah, I landed on the wrong way. Ended up falling into the wrong way, scratched my knees, scratched the hands, everything, like, terrible. But yeah, even though with that, I was stoked and I wanted more, so I kept coming back.
When
I
was your
never
next
stopped.
jump?
The week after.
The week after.
Yes, following weekend, yeah.
That's awesome. And then I remember you told me a little bit about, moving to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about, I want, before you moved to Florida, kind of where you were at in skydiving, what you were, who were you paying attention to, what was going on, and then when you got to Florida, what was that like? Who was there? What kind of how those two worlds kind of ended up connecting a tiny bit?
That's a cool question, though. Well, like as we started skydiving, we got super excited with it. There was some other guys that like were already a little bit more advanced that we got to meet, in the drop zone, and eventually, like, I don't know how, like, one of them let us borrow a VHS tape with a video from Olaf Zipser and his crew at the time, and maybe some videos also from like the Flyboys and Omar and Charles Bryan and all this start of the free flying, the very beginning, and we're just watching at this thing, like not believing our eyes and wanting to go the next weekend to the drop zone to try. And it was a very crazy environment because yeah, there was not much control at the drop zone. You could do whatever. So well, we started trying some stuff and kind of getting away with it, I would say, in maybe dangerous way sometimes, in a way that I would never recommend back, and I would never do again like this if I had to do it again. But eventually, yeah, like you were asking, I ended up moving to Florida, and Olaf and his team were in Florida in a little drop zone down south called Skydive America at the time in Pahokee, Florida. And so I got there and basically saw my idols at the time, like that I was like watching on the videos and this and that, and all of a sudden they were pretty much all there because basically, like, I would say 90% of the top free flyers of the world at the time were in that place. So it was a really good influence to my flying. I ended up like starting to meet them, becoming friends with some of them, and jumping together and things like that. And little by little, just never stopped.
When you first got there to that drop zone and you saw, did you know already that's where they were at?
Yeah, I did.
And were you scared to talk to them? Were you intimidated, or what was that like?
No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say like never scared, because like everybody was super friendly in this place. It was like everybody was like hanging out together, and it was a really cool environment. So I never really like felt like hesitant to talk to them or anything. Obviously some of them you become more friends than others, like anybody. Like when you get to anywhere. But yeah, that's yeah, how life takes you around. Yeah.
And did you ever imagine, when did you realize that coaching was something you wanted to do, and how did that become part of what you do?
That's funny because I could say it was when I was already doing it. I was like, I was never even had through my mind to be like working with this coaching or like becoming a free fly or a skydiving instructor, or it was something that never went through my mind though. But So can you repeat again
Yeah,
just to get
just
back in track? Though?
the
Sorry.
coaching. Let me ask you: Is it seems to me that coaching is a very big part of who you are now and
Mm-hmm.
what you do. Is
Yeah,
that accurate?
totally. Yeah, like for me, it's something that I'm definitely very passionate about, and it's also my job. So that's definitely a win in that sense. But yeah, I never really thought about coaching as something that I wanted to do for living, as my job or anything. It just kind of happened, It was like I was like I said, I was like really into the progression of free flying, like fully dedicated. I didn't thought about anything but free flying in any minute of the day. Constantly watching videos, studying, and uh, and yeah, with this focus on the progression, I think like it was natural that eventually a friend, like jumping with a friend, I would say, oh well, try this or try that, and see how it works, and just friendly way, and eventually like they asked me one time to maybe do a little bit of organizing, just to jump with people, and I started doing that, and mainly always for fun though, because I was like really loving it, when they told me, yeah, you can jump and you don't have to pay your ticket, you gotta just find people and jump. I was like, what? Like, let's go, and it's like jumping like crazy, but eventually, it's I think it was something that just evolved into, like from some of those people that I was organizing. All of a sudden, they would ask you maybe oh, can you coach me like in a day? And then maybe one time, okay, maybe like just charging for some extra jumps, that they would give me for me to train after and things like that. And eventually, I started charging a little bit, and it kind of all evolved into it. It was never something that I decided, okay, I'm gonna be a coach, I'm gonna train for it. It's like it happened out of passion, I guess. Love for it.
Has the coaching? How has that changed you as a skydiver?
Man, that's also a really good question, though. I think coaching allows you to really put put back some thinking into a lot of skills that are natural by that point, uh, which allows you to also start thinking a little bit more in detail about whatever move or style of flying or whatever you're trying to do. So I think it's yeah,
How has it affected you in other way outside of skydiving?
outside of skydiving in a way of giving me a bit of a better perspective when I'm trying to learn something, And at the same time, like learning other things outside of skydiving also helped me coach in skydiving, because many times we forget the feelings of learning, and everything becomes really natural. So maybe explaining to someone that's never done it may not be the easiest way, So learning and going through frustrations and issues in whatever other activity you're doing, it kind of brings you back to that perspective, and maybe allows you to even like deal with it better with the student, because in the end, like my goal with a student is not like to teach them what I want them to learn, is to be able to give them the information to find what they want to learn, kind of thing. So
So I'm sure you've seen many other people coaching.
yeah.
So I'm guessing you've probably seen a lot of other people who are very good coaches, and maybe you've seen some other people who are not very good coaches, or maybe even bad coaches.
Yeah.
What do you think? What makes a really good coach? Someone who helps other people learn and get better. What is what do you try to do? What do you think is important?
Man, I tried like obviously the technical part is it's very important though, because that's what in the end people are trying to learn. So the technical aspect in whatever you're coaching, the more knowledge you have about it, the more tools you're gonna have into how to explain it in different ways and allow people to understand you.
What do you see? Have you ever seen a bad coach?
Yeah, I think like well, I wouldn't say a bad coach, but I think like that a coach needs to be able to mold a little bit to the learning to the way that that person you're trying to coach learns, you know, because everybody's going to learn a little bit different. So I think failing to recognize the way that student's going to learn, that makes you a bad coach, you know. And so a lot of times when you're trying to explain something to someone in one way and they're not understanding, it's not because they're having an issue or they're less smart or less agile or whatever. It's maybe because you're not explaining it in the correct way for that person to learn. So you gotta kind of mold your teaching ways in order to make that person obtain the goal, no? And obviously be motivating, you know, without overdoing it, you know, being able, you also gotta call the faults, but being able to know how to motivate people to be hungry for that learning, no?
Can you do you have like a fond, good memory of someone that you helped progress, or that you helped? Maybe it was over a period of time that you really helped them progress, or maybe one instance and you were able to help them figure out that one thing, or just a fond memory of.
Wow, I think there's way too many to like just call on one though, but yes, like for me, like what what the main motivation that I have that makes me wanna keep coaching and be hungry for doing it, it's seeing people do the things like learn, you know, and pass a breakthrough or get something new, you know, and find that comfort in a certain position, or even a group as a group when we're coaching in camps and stuff. If they're able to pull off the jump the way you had planned it and everything worked out, like for me, I'm just as excited as they could be for being able to do that thing for the first time, you know, because I basically I accomplished my challenge, you know, like finding how to make them understand how to do it, you know.
Yeah,
So it's that's what really motivates me, you know.
that's cool. So outside of skydiving, what's something what's something that's really important to you outside of skydiving? What's something you really enjoy, or something that
As activities and stuff like that.
it could be activities, or I don't know what. But outside of skydiving,
Okay.
what's important to you?
I enjoy like I enjoy I appreciate a lot like my family, friends, you know. I think that's a very important part of life, you know, that a lot of times helps you keep going, you know, and do better things. But I think like I'm very attracted to the water, you know, so anything that's in the water I tend to really like, you know, and or in general anything that's outdoors, you know. I like to be in nature, you know, and be it the mountain, be it the ocean, be it whatever, a desert or whatever it is, you know, like very like yeah.
What does your family think about your life and what you do?
Yeah, it's a little crazy. They have like never, I would say other than my brother, no, but my parents never even went to the drop zone to see me jump ever, you know, or anything like that. And they're not against it in any way. In the beginning, they were, you know, but just out of the panic and all the situation, once they started understanding, actually they have been very supportive and they enjoy to see what I do, you know. I think.
Um, what do you when you look into the future? What do you kind of envision for yourself?
Wow, that's a really deep question that we could spend lots of time here talking. But I would say like in I don't know, I would point it more towards like the skydiving and what I do. I definitely plan to continue doing what I do. Maybe slowing down a little bit on the traveling part, you know, but definitely staying strong on it. Uh, I like the obviously the education part is something that attracts me a lot. We have already a course along with Sharon under Modern Skydiving Concepts, which is the name of our company per se or group. I don't know, I wouldn't like to call it a company really so much, but uh, or a team basically, and we have a leading course under that. We're working on our next course right now, which is going to be like a complete skydiver workshop kind of thing or mentorship. And then we're gonna have more courses coming. So yeah, definitely look forward to work more with these, you know, and make that available to everybody so we can like make people like learn even if they're far away.
Yeah.
To crave as well.
Yeah. You like it?
That's a good question. So like very.
Well, I'm so intrigued. I'm really, really intrigued by the desire that so many of the people that I'm talking to, their sincere and genuine desire to see other people succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean win a competition necessarily. It doesn't mean be the best, but to improve, to be better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of the other crave instructors and people we're talking to, they have a genuine, sincere, like you're saying, this a pleasure to see the people they work with get better.
I think that's the only way to really be able to do it right, you know. Otherwise, you're like maybe just trying to create a job, you know. And I don't ever see what I do as a job, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Luis.
Cool, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, dude, for sure, man. Pleasure.